Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest edition of Dalescenter right here on YouTube, and I am your host, Dale Tanhart, the greatest NASCAR bettor in the history of the universe. And this is a phenomenal weekend, not for just you and me, but for all of America, all of NASCAR fans, all of racing fans, because it's Talladega weekend. The only thing that would make it better is if we had the Craftsman Truck Series run the spring race as well. But we still have a triple header with ARCA, Xfinity, and Cup. I don't bet on ARCA. I don't really get into that. I think Hard Rock has odds for ARCA. I don't have access to Hard Rock at the moment. But if you're looking for ARCA, maybe the Hard Rock has odds. But we're not going to talk ARCA here. We're going to talk Xfinity for the Ag Pro 300 and NASCAR Cup Series GEICO 500 on Sunday. Looks like the forecast is getting better. I will be there. Very excited to be back in Talladega, Alabama for the racing this weekend. And we've got some bets to talk about for both NASCAR National Series events starting on Saturday morning. Actually, technically 3 for Dale, obviously, but 3 because we're going to be betting on Cup qualifying as well. And I've got a full card for you there. But we're going to start with the NASCAR Xfinity Series here on Dalescenter. Lines on the bottom of your screen, courtesy of Bet Rivers. Now, at the time of me recording this, not all the books have populated. Like, we're still missing DraftKings. We're missing like a BetMGM. And on any book, we're missing top fives. Now, some books won't offer top fives, but a Caesars, a DraftKings, a Bet Rivers typically do offer top fives for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, so be on the lookout for that throughout the morning and early afternoon on Saturday. I've got a card that is 1,000% emotional, guys, because the statistical play here is Austin Hill every single time. It just is. I can't do it. I can't bet Austin Hill 3-1 on a super speedway. I've done it a couple times, and it's worked out, I think, once. I think I had him for the I think it was Daytona, the season opener 2023. Yes, when he won, when the caution came out, when Sam Mayer flipped. I did have him there. I also had him in fall of 2022 when he ran out of gas, and Jeremy Clements, a 150-1 underdog, won the race, and that pissed me off. And the racing is so perilous. You know, RCR has the best cars with Austin Hill and Jesse Love, but I can't bet 3-1, 4-1. It just is not feasible for me to take that line, thinking that all it takes is one wreck and he's out of it. And I'm sure I'll eat my words again. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be betting on Austin Hill, and as I said, it is the statistical play. But if you want another pretty good statistical play, let's talk about Jesse Love. I think I'm going to have a unit on Jesse Love by the time you watch this episode. 10-1 right now on Bet Rivers. Missed out on 14-1 and 11-1 after qualifying. RCR is on the pole and the outside pole. Swept the front row. No surprise there. That's typically what they do, right? That's what they do at the super speedways, whether it's Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta. And Atlanta, you look back on, Jesse Love coulda, shoulda, woulda won that race. I mean, was so freaking dominant. Good at Daytona as well. I think Jesse Love needs to be in everybody's betting card for the Ag Pro 300. I think he's worth a unit, upwards of a half a unit play in my book for Jesse Love, 10-1 or better. 9-1 I would take as well, but I'm not as happy about it. I love to get 4-figure digits when it comes to betting on Jesse Love in that number 2 car. You know it's going to be fast, and I think this kid has the aggression level. I think he's proved it early on in his rookie campaign. He's got the aggression level to compete with Austin Hill, to compete with all the other drivers in the Xfinity Series, and in particular at the super speedways, because this is the one place where, and the one type of racetrack that RCR has an advantage on the rest of the field in the Xfinity Series. Not great at the short tracks, decent at the mile and a halves, but phenomenal on the super speedways. Jesse Love's got to be on everybody's card. Sheldon Creed. I know a lot of people watching is like, oh shit, I can't bet on this guy anymore. People in the Dalescenter NASCAR Discord, which you can join in a link below on my YouTube profile, people in that Discord say it all the time. I can't do it. I can't bet on Sheldon Creed anymore. I love Sheldon Creed. He has 73 second place finishes in the Xfinity Series in like 2 years of racing, 3 years now, I guess. If there's anybody from the Toyota fleet that can come out and win this race, it's going to be Sheldon Creed. Second at Daytona, always close at the super speedways, always contending up front, leading laps. I love Sheldon Creed at 14-1. absolutely worth a half unit to a unit. I'm probably going to put a unit on because I've been waiting for this win for a long time. I think it's going to happen. He's my number one pick to win the Ag Pro 300 at Talladega Superspeedway. It's a long time coming. He's been way too close. He finished second here in the spring of 2023. He finished second at Daytona in fall of 2023 in a photo finish. Second at Daytona earlier this year. It's not, I talk about the emotional play. There's enough statistics to back up betting on Sheldon Creed in some type of capacity this weekend. So give me Sheldon Creed. I'm also going to take Parker Kligerman. Kligerman's a guy with that RCR affiliate equipment that has speed. He came out and qualified third and is another guy that has been knocking on the door in the Xfinity series, in particular at the super speedways. He's had other opportunities at some of the mile and a halves, been good on the road courses, but really been good at the super speedways. And he's got 2 super speedway wins to his name in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, both at Talladega. Give me Parker Kligerman as a guy at 16-1. I'd bet down to 14-1 if it gets there before green flag on Saturday afternoon. I'm taking Kligerman as well. He's just been too close, knocking on the door. Those are the drivers I like to bet on once we get to the super speedways. Ryan Sieg. Everybody's going to be betting on Ryan Sieg. I'm already prepared for heartbreak. Nailed the Ryan Sieg call on the top 5 last week. Apparently, everybody bet Ryan Sieg top 5 last week at Texas Motor Speedway, which was a heartbreaker for him. Good for us when we nailed that bet at 12-1, 11-1. Can't remember what the line was, but it was something in the 4 digits. Everybody's going to be on him again. He's 30-1 on most books. Take him on BetMGM. I'm sure it will move. I know we all complain about BetMGM. It's so clunky. It's miserable. I get it. The app sucks. But I can't pass up value. 40-1. I've used a lot of BetMGM this year. And where I live, I've got a kiosk at a casino nearby, so it helps me with limits. So 40-1, I think, is a great line. And that's where BetMGM is great at giving us some discrepancies compared to some other books. As I mentioned, 30-1 everywhere else. 40-1, worth a bet, quarter of a unit is a good line. There's a good bet amount, I think, for Ryan Sieg in that fast 39. He's going to be there. And I'm going to go ahead and pile onto that with a 10-1 top 3. That is a line that's available on Bet Rivers. I think that is, if you get the heartbreak again, you've got the top 3. Now, keep in mind, top 5s are not out yet. We've got to be looking for top 5s and see what we get. But it's tough for Ryan Sieg because I'd love like an 8-1, 7-1 top 5. I don't think you're going to get it. I think the books know that he's going to be a factor. He's been a factor. Got spun on the final lap at Daytona earlier this year when he was running second or third, I think, which was another heartbreaker. And coming off of a week where he finished second at Texas, I think the books are going to take him in a legitimate capacity as a guy that can be a contender to run up front and potentially win this race. So we're going to keep an eye on top 5. But right now, I'm going to have a unit on the top 3. I think he's going to be up front. He's so damn hungry after what happened last week. The guy's gone like 12 to 14 full-time years without a win, and he's been so freaking close. As I said, love guys that are knocking on the door, and as long as he's got a fast Ford Mustang, which I think he will, I think Ryan Sieg is a good bet for an outright and a top 3, and maybe a top 5 depending on what they give us. If I can find 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, which I think is unlikely, top 5 could be in play before Saturday afternoon. More underdogs. I'm going to go with Jeffrey Earnhardt. Second here, spring of 2022. Now, that wasn't an RCR car, but Sam Hunt Racing has improved a lot. We've seen what Corey Heim has done. Kaz Grala, full-time last year, had several good runs at a variety of different racetracks. Jeffrey Earnhardt's best, closest opportunities to win races have been on super speedways, and in particular, Talladega Superspeedway. His last name's Earnhardt. He's got it in his blood. I like Jeffrey Earnhardt for a nickel, right? Very small bet outright at 100-1. Top 3, the best I've seen is 25-1. I think I'll be dabbling in that as well. And then let's see if we can get a top 5 at 12-1. I think that's definitely possible based on what we see on the top 3s. On books that have reposted odds after qualifying. If we can get a top 5, 12-1, 14-1 range, give me Jeffrey Earnhardt. I will bet that. I think it is worth a shot. And we need the juju here in 2024 at Talladega Superspeedway. So that's where I'm at right now with all my bets for the Xfinity Series. the card is not finalized just because I want to see where we are in top fives. I'll give you 3 candidates for top 5 that I'm looking at as underdog top 5 guys. Jeffrey Earnhardt, just talked about him. Matt DiBenedetto, I'm curious about this number 38 Ford Mustang. Didn't qualify great, but we know Matt DiBenedetto's gotten it done at the super speedways before in the Truck Series in fall of 2022 and was always close in the Cup Series, especially at Talladega when he was with the Wood Brothers. So I'm keeping an eye on Matt DiBenedetto's odds when top 5s do come out. And Brennan Poole. Brennan Poole is a guy that should have won a race here back when he was with Ganassi and that number 48 Chevy. I don't know how many years ago that was. I'm thinking it's 2018 or 2017 when he beat Elliott Sadler in a photo finish, but NASCAR threw the caution like a testicle hair before the start finish line, and the win was awarded to Elliott Sadler. So Brennan Poole in a better car than he has been in prior years. He's been in that Johnny Davis or JD Motorsports car in the number 6 or in the number 4. Can't remember which one, but he's been in worse equipment ever since he left or got the boot from Chip Ganassi. And this is his best opportunity with Alpha Prime Racing, who's not great, but they are a middle tier team who has grinded out some good runs, some top 10s. And I think Brennan Poole is a guy with a lot of experience. He's been close to getting it done at Talladega before. Watch out for Brennan Poole. I'm not saying as an outright, which you could probably get at 150 to 1 if you're feeling that. But as a top 5 bet, you get a little bit of carnage, you get a little bit of chaos. We've seen guys like Jeremy Clements, like Timmy Hill, like Greg Galding in the past get top 3s, get top 5s at these type of racetracks and in these particular races. So Brennan Poole, I feel like, is a good underdog play who's not in terrible equipment, experience. If we can get 20 to 1, 25 to 1 for a top 5 for Brennan Poole, I think I will bet that as well. And one more guy that I'm leaning towards betting is Anthony Alfredo. This team has been really good to start 2024. They've got momentum. They've had top 10 speed multiple times this year. And on the super speedways, we've seen glimpses of Anthony Alfredo leading laps, running in the top 5, and being competitive. So give me Anthony Alfredo as a guy that I am eyeing. He's around 25 to 1, 30 to 1 as an outright. I'd like to see if I can get a double or quadruple digit top 3 and maybe a 7 to 1, 8 to 1 top 5. Doubt it on the top 5. I think they're going to force us to bet him outright or top 3, and that is certainly a possibility. And to see my full betting card when it does get finalized, all you got to do is click a link below to join the Dalescenter NASCAR Discord. Every bet goes there first when it comes to the Xfinity Series, when it comes to Cup qualifying, when it comes to stage bets and Truck Series bets. Dalescenter NASCAR Discord finds out before anybody. So be sure to join our growing Discord that a couple weeks ago we hit 1,000 members, which is incredible. I did not think that would happen as quick and as young as the Discord is, but it's a good, thriving community of NASCAR degenerates like myself, like yourself. Check it out. Click that link. It is free. All my picks are free all the time. All my betting cards are completely non-exclusive. Just be in the Discord and you won't miss it. So that's kind of what I like right now for the Xfinity Series, to be determined on potential ads and unit allocations as well. So let's talk about Cup qualifying bets. I'm going to go ahead and move the odds here from Xfinity to the NASCAR Cup Series GEICO 500, but qualifying odds, we're looking at Bet Rivers, we're looking at ESPN Bet, and Caesars. I'm probably not going to be using Caesars. I'm just so sick of it. It's a pain in the ass, terrible on limits. But give me Bet Rivers and ESPN Bet, which I'm going to pull my odds from for my betting card for Cup qualifying. These will be locked in by the time you see this video and before I'm en route to Talladega Superspeedway on early Saturday. But I got 5 guys from the poll. If you watched me on Eric Estep's program Out of the Groove earlier this week, I'm all on Ford. This has got to be the equalizer. Ford has got to be like, hey guys, we got to win this race. This is a huge weekend for Ford, and I think they're going to step up. They've proven in the Gen 7 era they've been the best in qualifying outside the Daytona 500, even though they've been right there. And in 2024, they broke the Hendrick streak, which is a streak we thought would never be broken when it comes to pole qualifying for the Great American Race. So I love where Ford's at, not just in the race, but in qualifying as well. And I've got 5 drivers to bet on. They're all Fords. Give me Michael McDowell. We've seen a lot of line movement this week. I think he opened at like 14 to 1. Didn't have time to bet it. 9 to 1 is still worth it to me. He qualified outside pole at Daytona, qualified on the pole at Atlanta. Their super speedway package is legit. Give me Michael McDowell as my top play to win the pole. Second guy, Chase Briscoe. 14-1 on ESPN Bet. This line has moved. It was 14-1 on Bet Rivers. It's now 10-1 on Bet Rivers. I would still bet that. I love Chase Briscoe. He's right up there with Michael McDowell. Has always qualified well at Talladega. Got the pole at Daytona, fall of 2023. Seems like he's always qualifying up in the top 5 at the super speedways. Maybe not every single time, but SHR, they just bring the heat in single car qualifying in the Gen 7 era. Chase Briscoe is a guy that I love at that particular price. I've also got bets on him for the race as well, but for qualifying in particular, 14-1, absolutely got to bet this. If you want to bet on qualifying, this could be a hit for Chase Briscoe. Third guy, Austin Cindric. Joey Logano got the pole at the Daytona 500. We've seen Penske qualify well at the super speedways. They're Fords. I'm going to leave it there. Austin Cindric is a guy that I think at 22-1 is a good bet to apply to your qualifying betting card for Saturday morning. So give me Austin Cindric 22-1. Give me Noah Gragson 16-1. This is another bet that, along with Chase Briscoe, is statistically sound just because of that 10 car with SHR. We've seen Eric Almirola qualify that ride extremely well at the super speedways. Give me that as well as Chase Briscoe when we talk about the SHR fleet. Noah Gragson, I don't know how he's going to do in the race. I think he's a good, decent underdog play. A guy that's won super speedways in the past in the Xfinity series and is primed for a much better season with some pretty good speed we've seen out of that 10 car at some of the 1.5 miles and the short tracks. Road courses have not been great to him, but Noah Gragson qualifying Saturday morning 16-1 is a good bet. And for the final bet, we're going to stick with front row, Todd Gilliland. I've had a lot of questions about Toddy G, and it's always about the race, always about can he win Talladega? Can he win Talladega on Sunday? I'm not worried about that. I'm willing to get beat by Todd Gilliland on Sunday. He's had glimpses of leading laps, but he hasn't always gotten the finishes. I don't think he's ready, but I think he's ready to win a pole because his teammate Michael McDowell has done it in 2024 with the upping of this program's quality as a Penske affiliate, as a Tier 1 Ford program. They have been very good in qualifying at the super speedways. Todd Gilliland has been in the conversation as well. Give me Todd Gilliland 30-1 as my final bet to win the pole. So 5 bets for Cup qualifying on Saturday morning for the GEICO 500 at Talladega. Michael McDowell, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, Noah Gragson, and Todd Gilliland. Ford is going to win the pole, and I think it's going to be one of these 5 drivers come Saturday morning. So that's what I have for Cup qualifying and Xfinity. Manufacturer props. There's been a little bit of line movement here as well. I talked about line movement for Xfinity and for Cup qualifying. Well, for manufacturer props, we've seen some weird movement. Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, and John Hunter Nemechek for top Toyota, I think could be a great way to split the race into another race. You only have 8 Toyotas in the field, or 7. Jimmy Johnson's not running, so I think you only have 7 with 2 legacy cars, 2 2311, and 4 Gibbs. So you have 8. There is 8. Taking 3 guys out of 8, what's your percent chance of winning right there? Is that like 40%? 41% chance of winning. Look, we know the wrecks are going to happen at Talladega. We also know Denny Hamlin is a GOAT super speedway racer. We know Christopher Bell's been pretty good and knocked on the door of a Daytona 500, won a duel earlier this year. Hell, Tyler Reddick won a duel. But I'm going to take Bubba Wallace at the top of top Toyotas because this dude is so consistent. When you look at super speedways between Daytona and Talladega, Bubba Wallace has the best average finish amongst all active drivers with a minimum of 10 starts. That is ridiculous considering half of his career was spent with Richard Petty. And maybe not half, I don't know the exact amount of years. I think he was driving for Richard Petty up until 2021. But considering that, the guy's always been good at super speedways, even when he hasn't been in the best equipment. With 2311, he knocked down a Talladega win fall of 2021, and he's been really close here several other times, most notably last year when he was leading on the last lap, made a bad block, wrecked himself. But he's also had a really hot start on super speedways in 2024. Fifth in the Daytona 500 and fifth at Atlanta. He was the top Toyota at Atlanta. Second top Toyota at Daytona behind Christopher Bell, who hasn't gotten the best results at Talladega. I don't know why that is. Christopher Bell's been good at Atlanta. He's been good at Daytona. Has not been great at Talladega. Bubba Wallace has been great at Talladega over the years. He kind of had a rough patch getting the finishes throughout 2023. But like I said, this is a guy that finds his way at the front. And if he does get the finish, he's finishing around the top 5. So Bubba Wallace, top Toyota, 3.5 to 1, 4 to 1. Could be your biggest bet of the weekend. I think, being an underdog to Denny, right there with C. Bell, Bubba Wallace at that price. Some people would disagree and say, it's not worth it. If you pick 3 Toyotas, he should be your top guy. Second guy, Eric Jones. I got it at 9 to 1. I posted it on the Action Network app, which is another link you can find below where I post my Cup race picks. It's free. The app is incredible. Helps you track your bets very easily and efficiently, and it lets you see all the experts' picks very, very easily, very, very easily accessible to see all the great NASCAR bettors in their picks, their evaluation, and their unit allocation. And that's where all my NASCAR Cup Series race bets go. It's on the Action Network app, link below in the YouTube description. And Eric Jones is a very underrated super speedway racer. I always think about 2022 when he was leading, coming to the checkered flag, which is a heartbreaker because I talked about him all fucking week leading up to that. 60 to 1. He gave up the win in the Tri-Oval to Ross Chastain, and it still breaks my heart to this day. But it doesn't take away the fact that Eric Jones is a very underrated super speedway racer, and in particular at Talladega. Yeah, he won at Daytona for his first career win back in 2018, I believe. He's won a Busch Clash. I think he won the last Busch Clash that was held at the Daytona Oval. And he's really been close at Talladega several times and finds ways to run up in the top 5, run up in the top 10. Just severely underrated. I'm also on Eric Jones 30 to 1 as well to win the race, but 7 to 1, 8 to 1, 9 to 1 top Toyota I think is worth it for Eric Jones if you can still find 7 to 1. 7 to 1 is my minimum. You should be able to find that on some sort of book out there. If you can get 8 to 1, 9 to 1, phenomenal. But I love Eric Jones in this spot for top Toyota along with Bubba Wallace and John Hunter Nemechek. Look, not a lot of statistical evidence to back up John Hunter here, but I got him at 18 to 1. And once again, referencing the line movement we've seen, he's now 25 to 1 on Hard Rock. DraftKings, I think he's 20 to 1. So yes, bet that, because if a lot of the other Toyotas get eliminated, John Hunter Nemechek, is a formidable bet. I don't know how else to say it other than just process of elimination, and strength in numbers is the lowest in the Toyota camp. And also finished 7th in the Daytona 500. So he's wrecked a lot of cars. He's been in trouble, hadn't had a lot of good runs in 2024. But if a lot of the other Toyotas have issues, and I think he finished 7th at Atlanta, actually, not the Daytona 500. Regardless, he was like the 3rd or 4th highest finishing Toyota at one of those races, and he ran in the top 10. You just never know at Talladega. You never know. One wreck could eliminate every other Toyota in the field. It's certainly possible. And if Nemechek was 12 to 1, 10 to 1, 14 to 1, I don't think I'd bet it. But if they're going to let us have 20 to 1, 25 to 1, 18 to 1, I think it's totally worth a stab, considering we know Nemechek is talented. We know he's aggressive. He's got the makings of a guy that could come out here and win one of these races one day. So I like John Hunter Nemechek in this spot. Remember, the goal here is to bet all 3. You bet Bubba, you bet Eric Jones, and you bet Nemechek as a full betting card, and you hope that one of them wins out of those 3. And if one of them wins, you will profit. So I like that as a manufacturer prop look ahead of this weekend. I'm thinking about some top forward plays, maybe. I've just got so much out there already that I don't know if I'm going to commit to it or not. And for my Cup Series bets, got a lot of outrights, and they're all forwards except for Bubba Wallace and Eric Jones. Talked about both those guys. I got Bubba Wallace 16 to 1, would bet down to 12 to 1 because I know he's going to be at the front. He's going to be leading laps. He's going to compete for stage wins. He's going to be a factor. Eric Jones, 30-1. Already talked about him. Extremely underrated, especially at Talladega. And I'm not even going to go into detail about everybody else I have because they're self-explanatory. I think if you bet on these three guys outright, you should feel really, really good about Sunday. Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano. Now, I got lucky because BetRivers opened up and they had 12-1 for all three of those drivers as favorites. BetRivers is still the best place to get favorites because you can still get like a Brad K at 11-1, a Logano at 12-1. I think Blaney is a favorite at 10-1 now, but it's still worth it. These guys have won half of all the Talladega races since 2014. Ryan Blaney has been unbelievable at super speedways in general. Brad Keselowski is more due than any fucking human being NASCAR driver could possibly be due. Brad Keselowski is so good here. He's got 5 Talladega wins. He is just so goddamn due. I just cannot bet it. Brad Keselowski, I know a lot of the Discord, a lot of people that watch my iRacing streams, we're constantly talking about Brad Keselowski. He's going to get it done this week. He's going to get it done. Is it the time he gets it done? Maybe so. I love Brad K. Joey Logano, a lot of people would be like, well, Joey's finished. He's had a lot of DNFs, right? He's had a lot of DNFs at the super speedways over the past 3.5 years. No question about it. But what I saw in the Daytona 500 made me feel a lot better about Joey Logano because he's got that aggression. He knows how to use the draft, and he just has what it takes to be a spoiler on Sunday that would piss off a lot of NASCAR fans. And he's another guy that I think with his super speedway skill, all the wins he's got, former Daytona 500 winner in 2015, had a lot of Talladega wins between 2014 and 2018. With his talent at these type of races, Joey Logano is worth a bet. I think a lot of people are going to be sleeping on him because they're going to look at that stat log: 35th, 30th, 29th, 37th. Joey Logano won in Atlanta spring of 2023. That's a super speedway now. He's got the aggression, he's got the talent, he's got the spotter, he's got what it takes to win a super speedway and win at Talladega once again if he stays out of trouble. He's going to be aggressive, and if he doesn't get in a wreck, he will be there at the end on Sunday afternoon. So there's your core three right there on just outrights. And I'm going to pile it on with Chase Briscoe and Justin Haley. Justin Haley, I bet him every single super speedway. Daytona 500 gave us some optimism because that 51 car, we always forget and we always downplay it. They've got an alliance with RFK, which is Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher. The car that he's driving, that 51, which has been known as a laughingstock over the years, is not a laughingstock anymore. Now, they've had problems. They've had mechanical gremlins. And that is, I think, just part of the growth with this alliance. Normal. But at the Daytona 500, they were really good. And they got bit by gremlins there. They got bit by gremlins at Atlanta. But Justin Haley is a guy who runs in the top 10 a lot at super speedways. And I think is... You know, you go back and look at the Xfinity series, how dominant he was in the Colleague equipment. Yeah, this isn't prime Colleague equipment in the Xfinity series, talking about this number 51 Ford Mustang for Rick Ware Racing. But I just believe very highly in Justin Haley's talent at the super speedways. I think he is a potential air seer one of these days. And he's going to surprise some people. You watch out for Justin Haley. If he's got speed, which I think he will, he's going to be a factor. He is a phenomenal underdog bet. 80-1 outright, 24-1 top 3, and 11-1 top 5. I bet all three of them on FanDuel Sportsbook. I don't think you're going to see a lot of line movement. I would bet if you can get 20-1 top 3, that's good enough. And if you can get 10-1 top 5, that's good enough. I love Justin Haley as a formidable underdog this weekend. And then I'm going to pile on with Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe sneakily... if you watch Eric E. Steps Out of the Groove earlier this week, I actually misspoke. I said Chase Briscoe had the 7th highest average finish amongst all active drivers at super speedways, talking about Daytona and Talladega, not including Atlanta. Actually 8th out of all active drivers with a minimum of 10 starts. So I missed that. But who would have guessed that? Right? If you think about Chase Briscoe, you're not thinking about super speedways. But when you look at Briscoe, he has had some pretty solid progression at the super speedways, and especially at Talladega, constantly running in the top 10, top 15, getting there at the end. This is what I consider an indication. Drivers The first thing you got to do before you win at Talladega or Daytona is finish the races, and not just finish in the top 25 or the top 20. Start finishing in the top 15. Start finishing in the top 10. Start leading laps. Chase Briscoe's done all of that. Talked about how he qualifies well. He's finished in the top 5 in the Daytona 500. Led laps at Daytona. Been close at Talladega a couple times. In the mix. To me, that's an indication of improvement. 50-1 for Chase Briscoe, I think, is another good underdog bet. He's going to be in a fast forward. I think he's going to qualify with track position. I think Chase Briscoe is a guy that no one is going to bet unless they read or see my advice right here. So Chase Briscoe, 50-1. Lock it in as a good underdog bet to go with. All my outrights. I've got 7 total outrights. I'll recap them one more time. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones, Chase Briscoe, and Justin Haley. Those are my 7 outrights at this point. I've got room to add one more, maybe. I doubt it, but there is room just because the odds they're just really fun, right? They're really fun and they're advantageous because you're getting favorites at 12-1, 11-1. You've got room to allocate units to different drivers because your payout's going to be big when it comes to Talladega Superspeedway. I'm out of breath. I fucking talk a lot. I know. Moving on. This is the funnest part of the show right here, guys. And this is where we're going to round it off. I've got a Tanhart Triple Crown of 3 FanDuel parlays that I like. 3 FanDuel parlays. I've also got an honorable mention parlay. I'll go with that first on DraftKings Sportsbook. Remember what made people, or at least one guy, 2 guys won at least 6 figures back in 2022 at Daytona when the rains came, everybody crashed. FanDuel allowed people to parlay top 10s. And what several people did, per the advice of RotoDoc, Fantasy Racing Online, those guys deserve so much credit because they created a NASCAR betting millionaire, which may never happen again, per their advice. They were allowing you to parlay FanDuel top 10s. And what a few people did, per their advice, was stack BJ McLeod with Cody Ware and Noah Gragson, a lot of the back marker cars, and they all finished in the top 10. And I'm not saying that's going to happen on Sunday, right? Those were pretty unprecedented circumstances. But DraftKings this is dangerous for them to be allowing this, I think. Are they going to probably win? Yes. But you never know because there might be some psycho like myself, like yourself, that comes out with a 6-legger that somehow hits. I'm going to keep it a little more reasonable with a 4-leg top 10 parlay that I will bet. I'll have my unit allocation for this in the Discord and on my Twitter profile. But for a 4-legger top 10 via DraftKings Sportsbook, 4 guys. Corey LaJoie, who's been on another guy that's been on a tear on super speedways. Ran well in the Daytona 500 with the top 5. Top 10 at Fall Talladega last year. Been really good at Atlanta multiple times, running in the top 5, contending for wins. Corey LaJoie is a guy that has been really good at the super speedways, especially since 2022. Corey LaJoie top 10 plus 180 is the first leg. Second leg, Chase Briscoe at plus 165. Third leg, Justin Haley, plus 275. And then the fourth leg, Anthony Alfredo, plus 550. That's a 4-leg top 10. It pays a $100 bet, wins $17,986. Am I putting $100 on this? No. But everybody's been asking, what top 10 parlay are you going to do? We got to do some top 10 parlays. Discord's been talking about it. They've been talking about it in my live streams. This is the one that I'm going to go with. It is a degenerate Tanhart Triple Crown parlay. Well, I guess it's 4 legs, so you can't call that one a Triple Crown, but it is an honorable mention as a precursor for my Tanhart Triple Crown on FanDuel because they have the fun parlays. We hit one this year at Vegas, 27-1 for Larson to win, Reddick to finish second, and William Byron to get a top 10 at Las Vegas, and that's got me hungry for more. And there's all sorts of possibilities we know could happen at Talladega. So my Tanhart Triple Crown here for Talladega Superspeedway with a GEICO 500. 3 FanDuel parlays stick out. I'm going to start with Brad Keselowski to win the race, William Byron to finish top 3, and Ryan Blaney to finish top 10 at 60-1. This is my favorite one. This is worth 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks. I mean, this I think has probably happened before at a super speedway. 2021, I'm pretty sure Brad finished first, Byron finished second. If Blaney didn't get wrecked, he probably was in the top 10. I can't tell you for sure, but to me, all three of these guys are incredible super speedway racers. 60 to 1 for that scenario is a good, fun parlay. Second parlay I like, Joey Logano to win the race, Chase Elliott to finish top 3, and Ross Chastain to finish top 10. Chase Elliott's been on a roll. He's coming off the win, and it's a guy that has been great at the super speedways. He's been in the mix at Talladega. I mean, a bunch. He's won here. I think he won spring of 2021 or spring of 2019. Won here fall of 2022. Ran up in the top 5 fall of 2023. Chase Elliott is good at Talladega and is an underrated super speedway racer. I know he hadn't knocked down a Daytona 500, but he's been in the conversation. I like Chase Elliott as that top 3. Ross Chastain obviously won here spring of 2022 and has had other good super speedway runs. Daytona 500 was leading on the white flag when he got spun. So Logano to win the race, Elliott top 3, Ross Chastain top 10, 80 to 1, another bet worth 10, 15, 20 bucks. And the third and final one, this one's crazy, but you know, I feel like Christopher Bell is a guy that I'm not going to bet on for this time around, but similar to Chase Briscoe, has given indications that he's improving at super speedways. He hasn't had all the luck at Talladega, but he's been good at Daytona and good at Atlanta. The final parlay, just in case he is good and makes me lose all my other Toyota bets, at 120 to 1, Christopher Bell to win the race, Bubba Wallace to finish top 3, and Kyle Larson to finish top 10. I'm never big on Kyle Larson at super speedways, but he's another guy that has made some improvements and he's been in the conversation. So Kyle Larson top 10, I think is very possible. And Christopher Bell and Bubba Wallace finished 3rd and 5th in the Daytona 500. So it's possible. It can be close. 120 to 1. This is worth $5, 10 bucks. Christopher Bell to win, Bubba top 3, Larson top 10. And that's all I got. I'm getting ready to gear up and go to Talladega Super Speedway. I got a mullet contest I'm going to be in. Got an appearance on Sirius. Excuse me. Got an appearance on Sirius XM radio on Sunday of, I don't know, noon, I think. Might be a little hungover for that, but that's okay. We're going to have a great time at Talladega this weekend, and I hope you guys have a great time tailing all these bets. If you choose to tail cautiously, it's a crazy time. It's a crazy race weekend. We're destined to win, but it could all go wrong in a heartbeat. You never know with Talladega. It's always crazy, and it's been hot and cold to me. I lost spring of 2023. I had Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace outright. They crash on the final lap. Kyle Busch wins. Fall of 2023, I've got Ryan Blaney, and he wins in a photo finish. So it's back and forth when it comes to betting on the super speedways. Hopefully, all the stars will align for us on this glorious Talladega weekend. We'll have a big time betting day on Saturday and Sunday to pile on the phenomenal start to our season in NASCAR betting in 2024. And hopefully, you'll be there to pile on with us if those stars align. Be sure to be following on everything. Oh, let me hit that a few more times. Be sure to follow Dale Tanhart on every single social media platform. And don't forget about our fantasy league. This could be a really fun week to join our GridRival Fantasy League. You see that link down here, or that little panel down here. That link is also below in the YouTube description. We've got about 730 players in a very fun, revamped season-long NASCAR Fantasy League. $1,000 to the winner at the end of the season. You can join anytime. It's free. Come try it out. Join the Dale Tanhart official GridRival Fantasy League. It is fantasy for the racing obsessed, and it is a lot of fun. We've had a lot of good feedback. You make a lineup just like you'd make a DFS lineup. 6 drivers, except it's season-long, and it changes throughout the weeks as the season progresses. So be sure to join that and follow along at all this other shit. I've already explained most of this stuff. Every link I've talked about is below on my YouTube description. Thank you guys for tuning in to Dalescenter for Talladega weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope to see you guys out on Talladega Boulevard in the pits, in the fan zone. And if not, enjoy the Talladega race weekend. Going to be a blast, and hopefully it will be a profitable blast. Talladega Superspeedway, Dalescenter. This has been Dalescenter. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and if I help you win some money, be sure to drop a like and subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Hopefully our bets won't end up like Elliott Sadler here, circa fall 2003. Hopefully they end up more like Dale Jr., way up in front of this. Well, I guess Michael Waltrip actually won this race. So either of the two, you know, the DEI cars were fucking insane back in the early 2000s. To translate, let's win. Thanks again, guys. Enjoy your Talladega weekend.